Well, hey, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Cooter Pickleberry. I'm a professional airline pilot on my work days and a saltwater hillbilly cook on my days off. Today I was off, but a couple days ago I wasn't. So this is a little story about getting Cioppino, my favorite dish when I'm out in San Francisco. 11,500 miles of flying over 4 days to get some of it over there, and then to come home and kind of, saltwater hillbilly it up a little bit, using more local ingredients instead of Pacific stuff. I'm using the stuff out here in the Gulf of America. It's good, man. Welcome aboard. All right, so we're going to step into the office for the first leg of 4 days of flying. We'll cover a few miles on this trip. Starting out in Tampa, heading up to New York, and then down to San Juan, and then up to Fort Lauderdale. We're called it a day for the first day. Sat there all day, went out that night to San Francisco. Kind of a pink eye, if you will. And then about 24 hours on deck in San Fran, and then flew the red eye back to New York, and then home to Tampa eventually. The skyline of San Francisco is real pretty. This is out of the hotel room I was in, 25th floor, just kind of looking at the sky. And out that way is where we're headed. So you come down here for this. You want to go get down to the wharf and get some good seafood. There's people swimming out there. That's what that arrow is. I don't get how they do it, man. It's cold. The Cioppino, the dish we're making today, was invented originally by Italian immigrant fishermen. They'd have a little pot going on the dock of this tomato-based stock and fish stock, and they would bring in their scraps or whatever and throw it in. Now you pay $55 for that at Scoma's. Scoma's the first place I had it about 40 years ago. It's excellent. The restaurant's on the left there. On the right, the boats pull up to this little house and they unload the fish, and the guys in there clean fish all day, just like they do down the street from where I live. That's a Dungeness crab boat, a little different than what we have around here. Some more beautiful scenery of that area. It's really nice. And if you look offshore, there's Alcatraz breaking out of the marine layer. And of course, the place I know where you can have hillbilly music and these big old things honking. So we got to the restaurant at about 10 afternoon. There's already hundreds of people in there. That's what a bowl of Cioppino looks like. That's my ugly mug eating it. Man, it was really good. But I think we could do it a little different and still have it good. So this is hopping back on the airplane for the red eye to head back to New York and then back down to Florida. And now I'm home. That Mangrove Island out there is always a good sight. That means I'm on the boat headed out. I love that. That's my happy spot, man. We're just gonna take a little trip down the river to the Fishmonger. You could drive there, you could bike there, you could walk there, but I like taking a boat when I can. They got a dock, and I can dock up and go get whatever fish I need to buy. A lot of times we can get all this stuff ourselves, but we ran out of crab because my mother-in-law came down and she likes the crab, so she cleaned the freezer out, and I ran out of a lot of stuff. Not all of it, but we just figured we'd run down there and take a look, see what we get to make this Cioppino kind of a Gulf Coast way. An old boat, I don't know what it is. It's been there for years, like as long as I can remember. It's Key West Express. It's one of the ferry boats that runs from, I think, Marco Island out to Key West, and it's in the yard on the hard getting fixed. And here's where we're headed. This is a restaurant called Rusty Bellies. It's delicious. They make great stuff. They've got their own fleet of boats, like 12 boats, including a big shrimp boat. But they don't sell in the restaurant. They sell here at Pelican Point Seafood. And it's the best, freshest, fresh off the boat, good stuff you can get. And the ladies in there are working all the time, just filleting and taking wherever the catch was. So, picked up a bag of stuff, hopped back on my boat to go home. Give you a little tour of the working docks on the way home. I know it's supposed to be a Cioppino recipe, but I kind of like seeing this stuff. I figured some of y'all might too. We've got a lot of stuff going on the waterfront. That's a big party fishing boat. Got docks right here that run ferries out to Anklo Key State Park. The Greek area of my town. These were originally settled by Greek sponge divers who came over from the Med after a blight. That empty dock right there is all sponge boats that are out catching sponges. And as we come up here on the right, you'll see a couple of boats that just got back from a sponge trip. These are, if you buy a natural sea sponge, it probably came from here, and that's how it got here. They catch them and process them here locally and then ship them all over the world. That was a good load. Here's another good load. These guys are chucking big bundles of them onto the dock. Hard-working dudes, man. And these are all sponge boats that just aren't out yet, or haven't, they're getting ready to go. Some of them are big, some of them not so big. Well, we're back. Let's make some Cioppino. It's good stuff, man. So this isn't the real Cioppino. This is kind of my Gulf Coast version of it. Start with just a little bit of oil, and then I'm gonna dump a bunch of Andouille sausage in it. And the reason I do that is because I like it, and it's kind of a local thing. A lot of our dishes will have that in it. So it's already cooked, but we're just gonna kind of brown it up and get the flavor to come off. But it's gonna leave a deep fond on the bottom of this Dutch oven. You can see it right there. And that'll kind of incorporate into the whole dish as that fond comes up. We're going to deglaze that fond with some onion here just a little bit and some other veg. And that'll kind of permeate the whole dish, just very subtly though, a little bit of smoke. It's just good stuff. Here's some onion going in, put a little bit of red pepper in just for sweetness. That's not hot pepper, that's sweet pepper. And then the base of this dish is fennel. So we stuck a diced up fennel in there. And then another thing that's not traditional, but I like it, is a little bit of habanero. It's kind of a fruity heat, floral heat, and I really like that. So we've got 2 of them in there, seeds and all. Just destemmed them, chopped them up, and threw them in. As that cooks down a little bit, sweats some of that liquid out of the veg. You'll see that fond come up, and that's just going to be all over the veg. That's consequently going to be all through the stew. Really good stuff, man. Easy way to get some more flavors. Don't leave that on the bottom of the pan. It's too good to leave behind. So just put a little veg on it, scrape it up. It helps having this wooden spoon with a flat end on it. I call it my gumbo spoon. We're gonna put a little squeezed tomato in, and then just cook that down a little bit. It gets some of that flavor a little bit better if you cook it before you start mixing it up. We'll just kind of stir that by itself for a minute, and then we'll incorporate it with the veg. Now, usually you use fish stock with this. I've been having a hard time finding good fish stock. By the way, that's garlic going in, and we're just going to put that in for just a minute or so until we smell it. Once you start smelling it, it's cooking, and you got to get some liquids in because you don't want to char that stuff up. But I've been having a hard time finding a fish stock I like, and if I make it, the skunk apes always steal it. So in this case, I'm going to use a can of crushed tomatoes. It's like a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, a whole bottle of clam juice, and 2 or 3 cups of tomato juice, and that seems to make a really good flavor. Throw a little white wine on top, about a cup's worth, and then just kind of put that down to burn the alcohol off. Do that little whirligig. We can whirligig pretty hard right here because there's no fish in there yet. Throw the sausage in. Once we get the fish in, you got to be gentle or you're going to break the fish bits apart. It's good looking already, man. It smells great, and it's good looking already. We haven't even put any seafood in it yet, but we're about to. Let that cook down, boil up a little bit, get rid of that alcohol. You don't want to get drunk eating your soup. Give it a little taste before we put the lid on it. And when I tasted it, I thought it didn't have quite enough black pepper, and it didn't have quite enough heat. I wish I would have had 1 more habanero, but I didn't, so I threw some cayenne on top. And cayenne works pretty good for this stuff too, man. I'm not giving you any ingredient lists or anything, because this is really whatever you want to make it. This is more of a technique than a recipe. Another little whirligig. Get everything incorporating, deepen the flavor. There's a whole lot of flavors going on in here, and you're gonna taste all of them when it's done. But it's important to let it sit long enough. You can do this real quick, but I think the low heat and longer cook is probably a better idea. So here's fish. Any white fish will do, or doesn't have to be white fish, just any firm fish. My kid's been catching grouper like crazy. Couldn't find any though. It's all in the freezer, but the freezer's buried. So we'll use cod. This is a little Ninja wood fire grill. Grabbed a couple of spiny lobster tails. I wanted to smoke them just to get a little extra smoke. So they went about 2.5 minutes total, maybe a little less than that actually. And that got them par cooked. They're not all the way done. They're gonna finish in the stew. I did that so they wouldn't get all rubbery. There's some fresh shrimp caught off the Julianne, one of the boats that's owned by the Fishmonger I was just visiting. And they got beautiful pink shrimp most of the year. And then some bay scallops. Bay scallops are just smaller scallops. They're sweeter. It's a local thing. We catch a lot of them here during season, and they last us for a while. Hoping to get out at least 5 or 6 times this year for them. It's a fun time. Just snorkel to the bottom and grab them. I'll stick a video up at the end where you can, on the end screen, it'll point you to one of my scallop videos. And these are imported mussels from Prince Edward Island, Canada. We don't have those around here, but the thing to know about these, if they're open, don't throw them in the pot, throw them away. If they're closed, that's great, but then when you get done cooking it, they have to be open. If they aren't open, don't even throw them away. It's pretty much your food safety techniques from Scooter Pickleberry. Just kind of push those down. We're not boiling this stew at this point. We did that earlier to get the wine off, but now we're just kind of subtly cooking it. So it's below a boiling point, probably around 180 degrees, something like that. And we'll finish the lobster up in there as well. Just kind of push those down. That osprey kept looking every time I opened that pot. I thought it was going to come down and grab something. Oh, it looks so good. We'll start prodding around in there looking to see if the mussels are done. If they're open, they're good. And so we'll start digging them up. You can see they're done. The scallops only take a minute. And the lobster was almost cooked, so it only took a minute. The cod's been in there for quite a while. So we'll scoop a little out and have a taste. All right, here's what it looks like. We'll show a big picture of the pot here in just a minute with the lobster and everything. It looks really good. It smells really good. It's like 100 degrees out here today, so I think I'm going to finish this up inside, but we're going to have a taste out here on the dock just to see how it is. Now, that's really good. It's maybe a little saltier than I like. That's probably because I put so much clam juice in it and stuff, but I didn't add any salt. It's just what's in the fish and the water. But man, it's excellent. It's got a little bit of spice from those habaneros, a little bit of spice from the cayenne, and just the black pepper. You can taste kind of everything. You can taste the fennel just a little bit, which is excellent. The onion, the garlic, the tomatoes, the clam juice, all the seafood. Those bay scallops are just delicious. By the way, bay scallop season opens up for us on July 10th, just a mile north of where I live, so that's pretty cool. We got about I think a 5 or 6 week season this year where you can catch a whole bunch of bay scallops and make some more of this stuff. That's the thing about this. It was $55 for a bowl of it at Scoma's. I spent less than that for a pot of it here. And during bay scallop season, I won't have to buy bay scallops. During stone crab season, I don't have to buy crab. I've got it. In this case, I used lobster tails that were in the freezer from a previous lobster trip, so that was free. It's really nice living with the bounty of the ocean right next to you, where you get whatever you want. I sure do enjoy it. I sure enjoy eating it too. It's great stuff. Hope you like and subscribe. Hope to see you again soon. Come back and see us. Take care. God bless.